At the opening scene of the movie, a woman is shown lying on her bed, as she had taken many pills and was going to die. Her younger daughter sees her dead body. After that scene, the girl has grown up now. Dr. Rose Cotter, who is a psychiatrist on the psychiatric ward, consults for free. Then a patient named Carl came for consultation, as Rose comes to see him. The guy was chattering about everyone is going to die, as Rose tries to calm him while he was scared from something which was hunting him, and Rose changes him to an observation room. As she was going to leave her office, an emergency call came. She went to attend the case. Laura Weaver, who is a PhD student, caught for public nuisance. As the nurse confronts her, couple days ago, she witnessed her professor die by suicide. After that, things were like this. As Rose went to meet Laura, she was standing at the corner of the room, being nervous. Rose tells her to sit down. While they chat, Laura tells her as she is seeing something that cannot be explained. She also tells her that she sees people but not a person, like her grandfather, who died long ago, something wearing a mask, changing its face, and smiling towards her, telling her that she is going to die soon. By hearing this, Rose tells her it is all your hallucination. While Laura resists her argument, she tells Rose it is real and hunts her by taking over her mind. She also tells her today something will happen to her. After that, suddenly, Laura stumbles to the floor, scared by seeing something, and begin to scream, while Rose calls the security. When Rose turns around, Laura is standing behind her with an unusual smile on her face. As Rose tries to talk to her, Laura with a shard of a broken vase slitting her throat and commits suicide, as Rose barely loses her consciousness. After that, the police interrogates her, the officer Joel, who is an ex-friend of Rose, as she tells them everything happened and went to her house. At home, she has a sweet cat named Mustache. After taking a shower, she grabs a drink from the cooler, notices a woman on the mirror smiling towards her. Suddenly, she gets a call from her husband. Rose gets scared for a moment and drops the glass on floor. As Rose tells Trevor things happened, then they both goes for a dinner out, where her sister Holly invites them for her son's upcoming birthday party. As Rose tells her about her work, and she cannot come. After they get into an argument that her sister don't like Rose working for free. After dinner, they both head back to home. On the next day, at office, her mind is disturbed and asks the nurse about Laura's witness report on her professor's suicide. At that time, Joel came to meet her and ask her how you're doing and is everything going fine, as Rose appreciates him and leaves to her office. There, she studies Laura's report, as then she gets a call from her sister, and she apologized to her about things happened yesterday and tells Rose if you can't attend the party, get him a present. As she was talking to her sister, notices a woman standing outside the window. Later, Rose sees her patient Carl, smiling and shouting, telling her, you are going to die. Rose calls the nurses for help. When they came, Carl was sleeping at that time. After that, her senior Dr. Morgan gives her 1 week off, as he was concerned for her mental well-being. As she head to her home, on the way, she buys a present for her nephew. At home, Rose is alone. She wraps the gift box. By the time she gets a message from her husband Trevor that he will be late. Suddenly, the house alarm system turns on and she gets scared. She checks on the door as it was not opened, and she notices the door behind her chair is open. Then a call came from the alarm monitoring company and asks about the alarm system turned on. She tells them she is alone in the house. The security company asks her, are you sure that you're alone? And tells her to turn around. Then, suddenly, things comes back to normal, as it was an hallucination. Then, the phone rings for real. When the police came to check the house, it was clear, and Trevor came. After that, she calls her cat to feed. She searched for Mustache everywhere, and couldn't find him. At that night, she wakes up sudden by dreaming of her mother's suicide. After that, she checks the interview with Laura, and notices when Laura stumbles to the floor, she was scared after something calls her name. As Rose finds out, on that day, someone else was there in that room, and Laura was telling the truth. Rose tries to decode the sound. Then, suddenly, from behind, Laura calls her name, as Rose falls from the chair and gets frightened holding a knife, as Trevor comes to the kitchen and tells her to put that knife down. On the next day, Rose went to visit a former therapist, Dr. Madeline Northcott, and tells her about everything, as the doctor asks Rose how you're feeling now, and Rose replies to be guilty. The doctor asks her, why do you feel guilty? Rose tells her that Laura was her patient, and as she cannot save her, as it runs on her mind. Then the doctor tells her not to connect this with your mother's incident and blame yourself. As Rose tells her, on that day, Laura told her she is seeing something like that. Now it is happening to her, as she asks for medicine. Then the doctor tells Rose it is not necessary. After that, Rose goes to the birthday party of her sister, where her nephew starts to open the gift boxes. As the kid opens her box with fear, inside, it was her dead cat, horrifying the children when she tells everyone that it was not her. Then suddenly, on the chair, Laura was smiling on her, as Rose gets rage towards Laura. Then suddenly, Laura comes close to Rose, causing her to fall onto the glass table, ending the party in chaos. After coming from the hospital, Rose tells Trevor, something is happening to me, and I don't know what it is. Hunts me when I am alone, like an evil spirit. If you think I am mad, but I'm not. When my patient died, She also faced these situations. By hearing this, Trevor gets upset and gets out from the car, while Rose begs him to believe her, as Trevor tells her that this is mental illness, like your mother had. After that, at night, Rose searches about the professor, who suicide in front of Laura. At that time, from the dark, she hears someone calling her in her mother's sound, as she was scared and ignored while sleeping on bed. On the next day, she visits the professor's house as a reporter and asks his wife about him, as she tells her that at night he would scream by seeing something, and shows Rose a painting by the professor saw, which was something like a smiling face, as it looked even terrified. Rose asks her when did all it started, as she replies, it was from the day her husband went for a conference, saw a live suicide, and after that things were like this. While Rose finds out, as the professor saw a woman's suicide. After that, Laura saw the professor's suicide, and at last Rose saw Laura's suicide. As all the suicides have been connected, Rose asks about the details of the women who suicided, but she had nothing on her, as Rose tells her that your husband was not insane. Things he saw was real, and she also seen them. By hearing this, the professor's wife asks her, have you gone mad? And sooner, Rose gets kicked out from the house. From there, Rose went to meet her ex-boyfriend Joel and asks for help. When Rose goes through the police records, she finds several cases with the woman's case, and where the women saw a suicide 4 days before she died. As they go through that record, there was a security camera footage where a guy kills himself in front of that lady. As they watch the video again, before taking the weapon, that guy was smiling towards her. As Rose comes to a conclusion, people who watches the suicide will die within a week. As Rose takes all the details and heads back to her home. At home, she sees her husband came with Dr. Madeline. As Rose gets angry on Trevor, even though he was not there for her at the time she needed him the most. Rose then heads back to her sister Holly and tells her everything. Holly didn't believe her and tells her it was the same illness happened to mother she had gone through. As Rose was crying on her car, then Holly comes to her and knocks the window. When this happens, at the time, no one was there. At night, Joel calls her, revealing that he finds out all the witnesses were died by suicide within a week, except one guy, Robert Tully, who instead murdered someone else. Rose and Joel visit Tally in jail. Rose tells him everything, as it is for her patient, and Tally tells her the only way to escape from this is to kill someone brutally in front of a witness, causing a major psychological trauma, passing the evil to them. Suddenly, Rose tells him that she can't kill anyone, as Tally came to know it was on her, and rages towards Rose to leave him alone, fearing it will come back to him. Joel asks her about Tally, as she didn't answer him. When Rose reaches her house, she once again gets confronted by the evil in Madeline's form, smiling towards her and tells her the time has reached, as Rose impulsively drives to her hospital, holding a knife to kill someone, as she hallucinates by killing Carl in front of Morgan to pass the evil to him. When she realized that it was on her mind, then Dr. Morgan came and asks her to come inside, as Rose snaps out from him before he spots the knife and alerts the police. Then she drives to her mother's abandoned house, as she convinced herself that the evil can't pass on if she remains alone. On the way, Joel calls her and asks her where you are. Rose tells him not to search for her, and she's gonna end this. After that, she hangs up the call. After reaching the house, she searches for things that may help her, and at last, she finds a lamp and lights it up. As it became night, she hears someone crying from her mother's room, where she comes face to face with the evil in the form of her dead mother, as her mother asks her, why did you let me to die? As Rose replies, that you are a monster, and I know that it is not real. Suddenly, the evil turns to its real form and chases her down, and tells her that you cannot escape from your mind, as Rose then says, it is her mind, and you can't go anywhere else. Rose then attacks back the evil with her lamp, as the evil burns on fire with the whole house. After that, she meets Joel, as he was smiling and coming towards her, as Rose immediately runs out from the room. When she gets out from there, and ends up on her mother's house again, realizes it was also a hallucination on her mind. Now, Joel has reached the house by tracking her phone. Rose locks up the door by seeing Joel there, and ensures Joel not to see her die. Soon, the evil turns up on her, reveals itself as a giant creature without skin gets inside Rose, as Joel breaks the door and comes inside, where he sees Rose smiling towards him. At the end of the movie, Rose set herself on fire in front of him when Joel sees her die, and the evil transfers to him, as the movie ends here.